Godspeed, John Glenn. 6, 5, 4.
Today, we profile John Glenn, astronaut John Glenn, one of the 7 original Mercury astronauts, the first American astronaut to orbit the Earth, and a United States Senator for 24 years. He epitomized the right stuff. His name has become synonymous with bravery, exploration, and public service. He was born in 1921 and raised in New Concord, Ohio. His father, John Sr., was a plumber, and his mother, Clara, a teacher. It was here that John developed 2 passions that would define his life: a love for his country and a fascination with flight. John Glenn Jr. was only a toddler when he met Anna Margaret Annie Castor, whom he would later marry. The two would not be able to recall a time when they did not know each other. He first flew in an airplane with his father when he was 8. He became fascinated by flight and built model airplanes from balsa wood kits. This passion would guide him through a storied career that took him from the skies of World War II and the Korean War to the historic heights of space exploration and eventually into the halls of the U.S. Senate. When the United States entered World War II, he quit college to enlist in the United States Army Air Corps and eventually transferred to the United States Marine Corps. He was a distinguished fighter pilot in World War II. John flew 59 combat missions during World War II and later 63 more during the Korean War. His heroism in the skies earned him numerous medals, but it was just the beginning of his remarkable career. He shot down 3 MiG-15s and was awarded 6 Distinguished Flying Crosses and 18 Air Medals. In 1957, he made the first supersonic transcontinental flight across the United States. He set a transcontinental speed record from Los Angeles to New York, 3 hours and 23 minutes. It was the first transcontinental flight to average supersonic speed. His onboard camera took the first continuous panoramic photograph of the United States. In 1959, NASA selected 7 military test pilots to be America's first astronauts. They were John Glenn, Scott Carpenter, Gordon Cooper Jr., Virgil Gus Grissom, Wally Schirra Jr., Ellen Shepard Jr., and Donald Deke Slayton. They were referred to as the Original 7, Astronaut Group 1, and the Flyboys. NASA's selection criteria included less than 40 years old, less than 5 foot 11 inches tall, in excellent physical condition, with a bachelor's degree or equivalent, a graduate of test pilot school, with a minimum of 1,500 hours total flying time, and a qualified jet pilot. NASA proposed that astronauts be in civil service grades 12 to 15, depending on qualifications and experience, with an annual salary of $8,300 to $12,700. This was the era of the space race, and the United States was competing fiercely with the Soviet Union to achieve the ultimate feat, sending a man to space and bringing him back. On February 20th, 1962, John Glenn flew the 4-hour and 55-minute Friendship 7 mission, and thereby became the 3rd American in space and the first American to orbit the Earth, circling it 3 times. This mission wasn't without its challenges. During re-entry, there was a concern that the spacecraft's heat shield might fail, a critical moment. But John Glenn, calm and collected, trusted the process and returned home safely. That day he became a national hero, forever etching his name in the annals of history. His success marked a turning point in the space race, proving that America could compete at the highest level of space exploration. The bravery he showed under pressure exemplified the spirit of an explorer, someone unafraid to push the limits. The mission made Glenn an American hero and an international icon, symbolizing the nation's determination to explore the final frontier and catch up to the Soviet space advancement. In January 1964, John Glenn retired from NASA. But John's service to his country didn't stop with his return from space. In 1974, he entered the political arena and was elected as a U.S. Senator from Ohio. He served 4 terms, dedicating himself to issues such as nuclear arms control, government transparency, and scientific advancement. John was known for his integrity and deep commitment to his constituents. His time in the Senate solidified his reputation as a public servant. For John, it was never about fame. It was about making a difference, whether advocating for space exploration or working to protect Americans. John always stayed grounded in his values. In 1984, he unsuccessfully sought the Democratic nomination for the U.S. presidency. In early 1998, NASA announced it had approved Glenn to serve as a payload specialist on the Space Shuttle Discovery. On October 29, 1998, nearly 4 decades after his famous orbital flight, the 77-year-old Glenn defied all odds and returned to space on the Space Shuttle Discovery. It was a moment of poetic symmetry. 36 years after his first orbit of the Earth, John was back, this time as the oldest person ever to fly in space. NASA was studying the effects of space travel on the elderly, and who better than a man who had already made history once before. In 1999, he retired from his U.S. Senate seat after 4 consecutive terms in office, a record for the state of Ohio. In 2012, President Barack Obama presented John Glenn with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor awarded by the United States. The honor came 3 months after NASA and the nation celebrated the 50th anniversary of Glenn's Mercury Atlas 6 mission on his Friendship 7 spacecraft. John Glenn passed away on December 8, 2016, at the age of 95. His life was a testament to the power of courage, conviction, and a tireless belief in service to others. From the skies over Europe during World War II to the stars above Earth, and finally to the halls of Congress, John Glenn embodied the American spirit. His life exemplified the spirit of adventure and public duty, making him one of the most revered figures in American history. Here is a letter he wrote soon after his famous Friendship 7 flight. November 14th, 1962. Dear John, I would like to thank you for your letter of congratulations on the successful flight of Friendship 7, and at the same time apologize for the delay in answer. I am sure you will understand that the task of answering nearly 100,000 letters while continuing my work in the space program made the delay inevitable. I am happy to accept your good wishes on behalf of all those associated with Project Mercury. While an orbital flight is the focal point of the effort, it was made possible only because thousands of Americans in and out of government contributed the knowledge, the skill, and the hard work required for its success. Sincerely, John H. Glenn, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Marine Corps, Mercury Astronaut. That's the story of astronaut John Glenn. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these messages of inspiration and hope, please like, subscribe, and/or share them with family and friends. And until we meet again, please remember, with God, anything is possible. Spall.